I'm going to demonstrate Molto Perpetuo by Niccolò Paganini. This is found on page 15 of the George Vance Progressive Repertoire book, volume 2. I'm going to start out by playing the theme, and then I'll demonstrate the bowing variation, where the left hand plays at the same pace, while the right hand doubles each note into 16th notes. So here's the theme. The bowing variation. Alright, so a couple of thoughts to share about this are, first is just know what your left hand is doing, having your fingering set. A good way to do that is just kind of go through it very slowly, even half tempo or such. So if I were to play this at half tempo, like 120 sounds like this. Alright, so that's full tempo. If I were to play this at half tempo, one thing I could do, I could just keep it at 120, but just make each of these beats an eighth note. So it'll sound like this. And if you need it to go even slower, you could maybe even cut that in half. Gives you plenty of time to really think about what your fingers are doing, and it helps your muscle memory in your brain kind of get used to that and get that settled in. It really enables you to play it fast later on. Another thing you can do with half tempo is 120, just divide it in half. Put your metronome at 60 if you wanted to go that way. Alright, so that's now my quarter note. Alright, so play with the metronome, start slow to get the fingerings down. Recognize that there's patterns with this. It's a lot of scales. It's a good workout for your left hand and your right hand. So for example, starting measure 8, it's just going down the G scale, but we start on different scale degrees or notes in the scale. Start on D in measure 8. That's all the notes that are in the G scale. Only F sharp is the only A sharp. Then we go to C. So it's just a lot of scale stuff, kind of getting your fingering set for that. And that's the left hand. Start slow, work your way up. For the right hand, part of this is knowing how much bow to use so that you get a nice clear tone, and also where in the bow to play. And of course, like where you play on the string makes a little bit of a difference as well. So, I mean, assuming that you have a nice, good, you know where your sweet spot is on your string, and where you're going to do that, then you have to figure out where in the bow is going to work for eighth notes, and then for 16th notes. Is it the same? Is it going to be different? So, I think in the middle of the bow is probably going to be where I want to start. So that's working pretty good for me. That's about, I mean, not quite the middle, maybe a little bit towards the frog side of the bow. I don't know, like a third of the way out. So that works pretty good for the eighth notes. And how much bow am I going to use? If I use too much, it gets kind of washy. You get extra sound. If I use too little, I probably don't get enough of the string vibrating. So this is maybe 1 to 2 inches of bow, give or take. You have to just try it out, see how much bow is going to get a nice clear sound with each of these strokes. It's a very focused sound, which is what I want for this. For the 16th notes, they're twice as fast, so I'm probably going to use less bow. Maybe I could get away with playing the same part of the bow. Maybe I want to bring it out a little bit. This is about the middle of the bow. That helps me have a nice, controlled, fast bow without it getting too clunky. It gets a little heavy if I'm too fast too towards the frog. I kind of want something a little bit more agile. So in the middle of those seems to work quite well. And as far as how much bow I'm using, maybe like 1/4 of an inch perhaps. I'm just kind of scrubbing. Still want it to be clear, but you don't need a ton of bow. Alright, so you can practice the bow technique separate from your left hand. You can just practice in open strings. Right. You can practice this just with the G scale. You go all the way up to your 2-octave G scale, and that's a good way to practice. Same with the eighth notes. So you can kind of take out the techniques that you're learning with this and practice them on their own and then put them back into the music. Hopefully that's helpful. That's the Molto Perpetuo.